All right, and we are back with the legend, second appearance on Modern Prescription.
This is the first second appearance anyone's ever had.
This is our first second appearance, and it's the Toll Brother reunion. Thank you so much for coming back on, Brian. We really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
This was a massive weekend for you. This was congratulations, first of all.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
This was the grand opening of Delilah Las Vegas and the Wynn Hotel, which is absolutely beautiful, and it was an incredible time. So how long had you guys been working on this before you could open? What does it take us through? What does that look like?
Well, it started about 3 years ago. I don't know if you remember, we were supposed to open last year in May for my partner John's 40th birthday. So once COVID started to hit in January and February of last year, we started to hear from the Wynn saying, our chairs are delayed from China. Our certain wallpaper is getting delayed from China. And we said, what are you talking about? And they said, oh, there's this, pandemic going on over there. The warehouses are shut down. They can't ship anything. So it's going to delay our opening. And, we had sort of heard of COVID in LA, but it wasn't a thing yet. And so we kind of thought they were like out of their minds. It, didn't really make sense. And then, of course, the world got shut down. So we had basically a fully built restaurant sitting there for a year.
Wow.
So we lost a year. But I would say prior to that, it took about 2 years to kind of build it and figure out the layout and the deal with the Wynn and kind of do tastings and figure out the food and all of that. And I think we shut it all down. We started it back up, I would say this February or March. So another 3 months of retasting and finding a staff and getting open, and then probably 2 months to plan the opening weekend.
Wow.
And so tell us about the opening weekend. You guys had basically
I heard a couple, like 1 or 2 celebrities came.
Couple celebrities came.
we had a couple.
A couple celebs.
It was a really fun weekend. I mean, it was a crazy week for both myself and my company as h.wood Group, because we do our biggest event of the year is Nobu July 4th. Mm-hmm. And we rent the place out, and Dr. Jeff was there. We rent the whole venue out, and we throw a really big event at Nobu. And so that was 2 months of planning, and that was only a week ago. And for that one, same thing. We're selling tables. We're working on sponsors. There's a ton that goes into that event. It's months and months of planning for that. And so to piggyback that, and less than a week later, basically take the whole company to Vegas to pull this off was an unbelievable undertaking. So Thursday night was the Vegas Locals Party. So Vegas Magazine sponsored it. And this was really a chance for the Wynn to invite their closest people, and Vegas Magazine as well. And so this was a cocktail party, a lot of fun, got to meet a lot of great people that live in Vegas that I had never met. The governor of Las Vegas was there. The governor of Nevada was there. Just a great time. And then starting on Friday, the madness started, where pretty much everyone from LA started to come in. And so the first night was just a dinner, kind of a tasting where everyone got to try the food, see the restaurant, walk around. Not too crazy. That was probably 200 people. Saturday night was the big finale, and Saturday was about 700 people.
Wow.
So that was just a huge event. Started at 9:00. Started as a cocktail party. Ended up a Justin Bieber concert, and was just madness until about 4 a.m.
And I'm hearing, Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, Jared Leto, Kendall Jenner. I mean, you name it. This is insane. All here for the Delilah opening in Vegas.
Well, it was really amazing. I mean, we knew about Kendall and Courtney and Travis Barker and that crew. And we actually set Justin Bieber up to perform the night before at XS, knowing that if he were in town, he would come and do something with us. So there were certainly celebs we knew about. Robert Kraft had no idea, but legend. And the CEO of the Wynn actually invited him. So we didn't even know he was coming. But it was a crazy week. It's funny story. We were actually supposed to open 2 weeks earlier. So the plan was June 24th. The idea being we open right after the mask mandate drops. People will feel comfortable to go to Vegas. And then we'll open, and then we'll get July 4th weekend is a great weekend in Vegas. So we'll be busy for that. And we'll kind of just go from there. But Resorts World was this new hotel opening across the street from the Wynn. And they, after we had picked our date, we hadn't sent out invites yet, picked the same weekend. And some of the people at the Wynn said, you don't want to compete against the grand opening of a hotel, so we should push it. And we said, at this point, like, let's just get open. It won't matter. We'll have better celebs than they'll have. And everyone got scared. Turns out they paid who they paid, but the only celeb they actually had there was Paris Hilton. So they had one.
Oh my God.
And we had, so we
the
should have
entire
opened.
USA basketball team, basically.
Yeah, well, then we couldn't open the next week because it was July 4th. And we didn't want to open on a holiday weekend. That would have been just too crazy. So we said, okay, we'll pick after July 4th. It'll be a slow weekend, which is good for us. People will come to town. We'll be able to get whatever rooms we need. It'll be nice to have it not quite as busy as July 4th. Little did we know they would schedule Conor McGregor fight, Garth Brooks performing at the stadium, and Dave Chappelle performing with Joe Rogan as well. So it turned out to be this like insane weekend that we would not have chosen. So a lot of these people, and then of course the NBA basketball team here as well. So it's sort of all came together all at once where these people were in town. So we ended up with Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant and a bunch of the NBA guys because they were there for the basketball thing. Robert Kraft with the CEO of Wynn. Mel Gibson was in town for the fight, so he came. Jared Leto's people started to reach out saying he's coming to the fight.
I saw Chappelle in there. I thought he was going to do some jokes, but he did. I don't think he took the.
He did the night prior, but we had left.
And
so, Chappelle was there for his thing.
I saw Odell Beckham try to play piano, but no one would listen to him, and they turned the piano off.
Yeah, poor guy.
Wait, so
we had Odell, we had Baker Mayfield, we had Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, we had the Almost Always Sunny in Philadelphia cast, we had the Chainsmokers, we had
Megan Fox. I saw in there too.
Megan Fox, with Machine Gun Kelly, just insane. Ariel Winter from Modern Family, Julia White, just nonstop.
Well, and just to clarify, because a lot of celebrity parties in LA or all over, it's paid appearances, right? Just to clarify, this is not paid appearances. These are people who are fans and friends of the h.wood group, and these are friends of yours who are here for support, and they love Delilah, they love the branding, and they love h.wood group, and they're there to support you on your opening night.
Exactly right. No, we didn't pay a single person.
So amazing.
So as high of a high as that, I know you also got the same alert on your phone today about this new mask mandate happening in Los Angeles. So what's going to happen? Is everyone just going to be at Delilah Vegas every weekend because they can't go out without a mask?
Is this affecting restaurants though? Is this affecting everything?
Well, this is kind of par for the course at this point where they just make a statement without any real
explanation
data with it, right? Or explanation. So mask mandate inside. Well, I don't know what that means. I mean, they have not said if that affects our capacity. If you recall before June, we were only allowed to do like 6 people or 8 people per table. They haven't spoken about that. They haven't said about capacity in the restaurants or the clubs. So as of now, I guess it's just masks in public places. So so many people are asking what this means for they have a reservation or my phone hasn't stopped today. But I think people will go to Vegas, although someone sent me another, let me see who wrote this. Someone sent me a text a couple hours ago from someone that said, don't go to Florida or Nevada if you're in Los Angeles.
Why not? Because
too many cases, I guess.
So yeah, there's more. So in LA County, I think they're back up to around 1,000 cases a day. And the positivity rate on the testing is like 3.5%, which is up from the lowest it got was about 1% positivity rate. But it's still unclear. It looks like some people who are vaccinated are able to get the new variant, but we're not seeing the hospitalizations and the deaths that we were seeing in people who are vaccinated at least. So I'm really worried about unvaccinated people getting really sick. But there are going to be cases of vaccinated people getting COVID and making the numbers go up. And so we'll see. I agree with you. The government hasn't always been very transparent about what they're basing decisions on. They didn't say due to the rate going above this. I think they tried to say it was the positivity rate going up, but really didn't explain what the reasoning
on the
is.
last episode when you were on, Brian, we talked about how there was this total lack of respect for the hospitality industry as a whole, where there was no input at all from the hospitality industry on what the safest way to take care of patrons would be. Do you feel like this time around there will be some input from the hospitality industry, or are you not expecting that at all?
I'm sure there won't be. I mean, we've certainly had some cases here and there that I've heard about from friends or customers. It's impossible to know where they're getting it, right? I mean, they're out and about. The world is open, but I think again, it's going to come down. They're just going to blame restaurants and things like that. I don't really understand the mask mandate this quickly. I saw a stat earlier that said at the peak there was about 8,000 hospitalizations in a given day, and so that's why there were mandates in place. There's a total of 450 people in the hospital with COVID now total. So,
and 99%. I read the stat today too. 99% of the current COVID hospitalizations are non-vaccinated.
Right. So it's frustrating to me that people have not gotten their vaccine. And so that has caused, well, A, mutation and a variant, but B, now it's going to affect business again because everyone just gets grouped together. It doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. It's just everyone wearing a mask. Here are the restrictions again. So it just seems like we're repeating exactly what happened, months ago.
Yeah, but I think it's a good point what you just said is great for people to hear, because I think when a doctor says get a vaccine, there's this little bit of this like, obviously. But when someone in your stature says it, and you're obviously in the hospitality industry, it's so much more powerful sometimes, because there's someone listening right now who doesn't care what Dr. Jeff or I think about vaccines because they think it's obvious. But when you say it, it matters. And I think that's really important for some people to listen to.
Sure. I think everyone should be vaccinated.
Yeah.
Huge.
But it's just strange to me because everyone got all the other vaccines for things that were much less deadly that weren't causing a pandemic currently. And people would get their measles vaccine and their pneumonia vaccine and every other vaccine.
Right. Well, I think it's the power of
Well, it's funny.
Google.
I've spoken to a couple of our employees who refuse to get vaccinated, and they have all different reasons from, I don't trust the government, I'm not doing that, or the FDA hasn't approved it yet, so I'm not going to take it until then, to, I don't do well with vaccines. Well, that one I really don't understand, because you can't go to school without getting vaccinated. So what does that mean? You don't do well with the vaccine? Like, I don't know what vaccine they're referring to.
Well,
that they don't do well with.
I think when we're honest and we say that it's normal to have some symptoms after the vaccine, it's normal to have a little bit of body aches and feel fatigued, and you don't feel great the day after. And that's what people don't want to go through because they think it's like a side effect. There must be something bad in there. But it's really just when your body is introduced to the spike protein, the thing that makes your body go crazy and get sick when you have it, and you're building that immunity, you don't feel great while your body's making you literally immune to this thing that can kill you. And so you don't feel great for a day. And it's worth it for that day, both for yourself and for the benefit of the rest of the world, so that we can all live normally again.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, this is just going to keep happening, right? Like, I mean, you're the doctors, but I would think
I'm worried
this is
about
one variant. What happens? Okay, we wear masks, we get rid of this one, we open up again, and then there's, the next variant, right?
And when you think about what's happening in other countries, Brazil, India, around the world, where there are not just like hundreds of thousands of cases, there's probably millions of cases that are unreported, people that don't go to the doctor, can't afford to be seen by anyone. So there's these variants may be being created more over there, which is scary.
And still being traveled over here.
But I agree that the fact that there's a reservoir of cases in the United States is dangerous, because the evolutionary pressure to overcome the vaccine, so the evolutionary pressure to be able to infect vaccinated people, that only happens in countries where people are vaccinated.
Right.
So although there are more variants created in India and Brazil and these places, the ones that are going to break through the vaccine are probably going to come from here, because, or at least once they get here, they're going to spread quickly once they are able to break through.
Right.
And so that's really the concern. And then, we're all going to have to be revaccinated again, which is going to be, again, a cycle that we're all going to have to deal with for the rest of our life.
Crazy.
Yeah, and they're talking about now
the Delta
booster.
one.
The third booster is now the hot topic that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the Delta one is definitely breaking through the vaccine. I know probably 10 myself, people that had a vaccine and have COVID right now. Mild cases, but it is definitely to the point where it's worse than just a cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm hearing the same thing.
Right, but it's not keeping people out of the hospital. I think that's the very important point, because I think when we say that the Delta thing is breaking through the vaccine, that doesn't mean don't get the vaccine because it's not doing anything. What it means is this thing is going to make you really, really, really sick unless you get the vaccine, in which case you'll have a mild viral syndrome and survive it.
Right.
So, I think that's the thing. And it's hard for the government to decide what's the best course and when's the right time to have masks and separate people. And I agree. I think this is going to be a cycle that we live with. I don't know.
Why is it hard?
I think that weekend, that Vegas weekend opening, that may be the most open. That was like the perfect window that we had, where it was summer. Less people are indoors together in general during the summer. Summer's usually a time there's less viral infections in general. So if you look at flu trends over the last 100 years, flu is mostly in the winter. Most of the other viruses come in the winter. So that may have been a real window there where everyone just got vaccinated. It's summer. The case count's low, and we'll see the case count's going up. So I don't want to see things close because I don't think it makes sense for people vaccinated, at least not yet. Because to me, the thing that we're trying to prevent is the hospitalizations and deaths. And right now, 99% of those hospitalizations and deaths are in unvaccinated people, which is sad, but they just need to get vaccinated, and then this wouldn't happen to them.
Yeah, that's what I said. Is it hard to decide? I agree with you. It seems to me like if the hospitals are empty, there's no reason to do shutdowns and mandates. Obviously, we want to prevent it before it gets to that point. But with 400 people in the hospital, I understand there's a lot of cases. But if it's just the cold or the flu, seems to me like this is going to be part of our lives for a while. We don't stop everything for the flu. So, it's frustrating to hear that just because it's the word COVID, it seems like, well, everyone gets scared.
Well, I think it is going to kill people. It's going to kill unvaccinated people. It will. It's going to kill unvaccinated people again. And so I think in some states, it's really scary. Like if you look at a map in some of the southern states, Arkansas, Mississippi, they're at like 40% vaccinations.
Wow.
And so if you're at 40% vaccinations, you're nowhere near herd immunity, number one. But number two, just the kind of cultural idea of like, I'm not going to get the vaccine tends to probably run with, I'm going to go outside and do whatever I want. And
I think the numbers will also, if they start to show more data, which they're starting to, of the number of cases correlating with vaccinated versus unvaccinated, I think that'll push the trend for people wanting to get vaccinated.
I'm worried that the media doesn't separate someone with, like when we're going to talk about breakthrough cases, that they don't separate how severe the case is. Because again, if someone has basically like a cold, that's really important information that we need to know. Of the breakthrough infections, were 99% of those more like colds, or were 99% of those people in the hospital? Because if 99% of the breakthrough, even if there's a lot of breakthrough infections, if they're mostly like colds, then the answer is we just need to get everyone vaccinated, and then we don't need to shut anything down.
Right.
Totally agree with you. Which from my perspective, everyone I've spoken to, between friends and employees and people right now that I know that have COVID, it's very, very, very mild if you're vaccinated.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the government can say though, like, you're screwed. Too bad if you don't want to get vaccinated, you're ruining it for everyone else. So, you're not allowed to go places if you're not vaccinated. Until we get to that point, I just don't see how this trend changes, right?
Right.
If you can't fly unless you're vaccinated or things like that, that's really the only way people are going to think about it, I think.
And I don't think either political party has the...
That's right.
Has the
balls to do that.
Balls to do that, for lack of a better word. Yeah. Because as soon as one or the other does it, then the other party is going to be like, look, they're tyranny and,
Right.
And
yeah, I agree. It just, that's the hard part. I don't know how this ends. If it's going to be, you have to assume these other 50% are just going to refuse to get vaccinated, right?
I would think so.
In the 40s and 20s, there's a draft and you had to go to the war. It was non-optional. You can't dodge the draft. Right. You go to jail. But yet today, all you have to do is get a vaccine. And yet so many people are dodging the vaccine.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't be, but it's just very politicized.
If if you feel that the hospitality industry could be more in control of the decision making, what would you do right now if you had ability to kind of control the narrative of what restaurants should do?
Well, I mean, look, if we were all together and on the same team and could collude together, if we all said you can't come in unless you're vaccinated, I think that would be great. However, I know that if I make that rule, they're just going to go to my competitor's restaurant. So I can't set a rule like that myself. And that goes for employees as well. If I tell all my staff, you guys can't work unless you're vaccinated, they would just go work at the next restaurant. So I think the Wynn did a very smart thing. Their rule, and everyone wants to work at the Wynn in Vegas. It's the best hotel. You make more money because people are spending more there. They said you either have to get vaccinated or you have to get COVID tested twice a week at your own expense.
Wow.
If you want to come to work.
Wow.
So, and that works there, but they also have a massive HR team that can make sure people are turning in their COVID tests and testing twice a week at their own expense. They actually built a lab at the Wynn so you can get your test there and pay for it as well.
Wow.
Which is a phenomenal lab. I got to walk through it last time I was in Vegas. It's amazing.
Wow. Vegas is just the scale of things in Vegas is so crazy.
Right. It's different. I could never enforce that. People would just go work elsewhere. So it's tough. I think, if it's the mask indoors doesn't really make sense to me. And, you have to wear a mask then to walk into the restaurant, but then you go and sit at your table and then you take it off anyways. I mean, the way the air works, I can't imagine there's much difference sitting at a table, even across the room. It's like you're all in the same place anyways.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah, great points. Really good points.
So I just don't understand that rule, really.
So assuming things don't totally get shut down, what's next? What are you guys working on next? Are you already thinking about next, or do you ride the wave of this for a while?
Oh no, we've got a lot coming. I'm actually going back to Vegas tomorrow, so I have to go. It's our first. We finally opened to the public.
It's like a first real night. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Last night was the first night actually open to the public for dinners. Unbelievably busy. So I'm going back tomorrow to Monday. So that'll be exciting to see. But for h.wood as a whole, we're building a private members place in West Hollywood. So that will open in the fall. I just started construction at a Delilah in Miami in Brickell. Wow. So that's extremely exciting. That'll be Delilah number 3. And that's a huge one. It's about 10,000 square feet. So almost as big as Vegas. And that one will open, I'd say like spring or summer next year. And then we're doing a Harriet's, which I have in West Hollywood. We're basically ready to open in Toronto. So we're on the rooftop of the One Hotel. One is amazing in West Hollywood, gorgeous views. There's the one in Miami. Yeah. They're opening a One Hotel in Toronto. So we're taking the rooftop there. And then they're also doing a One Hotel in Nashville. So doing a Harriet's on the rooftop there, which will open spring next year.
Toronto rooftop is surprisingly beautiful. I've been up on a roof up there.
It's amazing up there.
Cool skyline. Very cool skyline.
So you guys are very busy. Very busy. Wow, that's insane.
And the Super Bowl is in LA this year in February. So Super Bowl is, massive events and parties. Seems like every brand in the world does stuff for the Super Bowl. So I'm sure we'll have a lot going on that week as well in February. So we're already starting to work with sponsors and planning it out 6 months in advance for that. We're tenting.
You guys have the place inside the stadium, right? Too.
Yeah, we're working on a Bootsy Bellows at SoFi. That's right.
Wow.
But for Super Bowl, we're actually doing a 2,500 person tent at the Pacific Design Center on San Vicente in West Hollywood. So that we'll do like a massive event there on top of doing everything in our venues. So this is going to be a very busy year for me.
Well, we better make sure people get vaccinated so we can stay open.
Yeah, exactly. And to understand,
don't allow people to listen unless they get vaccinated.
And to understand the concept of your business, because the average person, when they look at restaurants, they're like, Google ads. You must take out Google ads. You guys is all word of mouth mostly, right?
Yeah, we've never done a single ad. So,
Amazing.
we've been doing this a long time, but I think we have a huge network of people, and we have, we kind of run our places based on that. So we make sure that the important people to us are taken care of and get whatever they need, and kind of goes word of mouth from there. And they have big mouthpieces and podcasts like yourself. So, they kind of make everyone else kind of wants to be where those people are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, love it. Well, congratulations on all the success, and congratulations on the opening of Delilah Las Vegas. Beautiful, beautiful venue.
Had a great time. Thank you for having me.
Brotherly
Thanks
perks.
for coming. Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on, Brian.
Thanks.
Thank you.